Hello, one and all, and welcome to the next GRIP webinar. And you are in for a treat. This one's really good. This is about the future of events. And so today we're talking about how can you supercharge your events and supercharging with agentic AI, because we think it's going to change the future of the events industry. So my question to you is, do you want to stay ahead of the curve? Do you want to understand what's going to happen with your sponsored exhibitors because they're going to want to use their agents? Do you want to know how to acquire new customers, new attendees? Well, this is the place to come because agentic AI is touching all of your different types of businesses. And if it's not today, it will do tomorrow and everything will change. And the good news is, I have got three of the leading experts in the world who are here today to give you a playbook for how they are actually implementing agents for their clients and inside their own businesses. And so I'd like to introduce my three lovely panelists for today for our Supercharged How Agentic AI Will Shape the Events Industry webinar. It's going to be great. So I have got Asghar from Terrapinn, and you might remember Terrapinn from one of our previous webinars where we had Asghar's colleague Sharon on, COO. Now, Asghar is the Group Digital and IT Director at Terrapinn. What he doesn't want to know about AI agents being deployed inside events businesses is not worth knowing. He knows it all. I had a prep call with him earlier. He's going to blow your mind. Two other people that are going to blow your mind is Max Gabriel, co-founder and CEO of Markus AI. He's helping people deploy AI agents. And Maanas, he is co-founder and CEO of Bridge. Again, another startup focused on AI agents. So I'm going to get each of them to introduce themselves and tell you a bit about their background. So, Asghar, over to you. Can you tell us a bit about what you do, please, and who you are?
Thanks. Hi, everyone. So I'm Asghar Maqsood. I'm a Group Digital and AI Director at Terrapinn. I'm responsible for any tech that we bring into the organization, whether it's sales tech, martech, conference or production tech, and so on. And I'm also wearing a hat to take Terrapinn into the AI transformation, whether it's Gen AI or Agentic AI. My team is responsible to introduce AI or leverage from AI across the board.
And I think he's underselling himself there,
Yeah.
my audience, because he's doing it everywhere, all over the business. It's pretty wild. This is why I'm so excited for this webinar to give you guys the insights from these people's brains. The next brain we're going to pick is Max Gabriel. Max, tell us a bit about you, and you've got an interesting background, haven't you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's quite a build up. Hopefully, I can live up to it. It's great to be with you guys here. Hello, everyone. I'm a co-founder and CEO at Markus AI. At Markus, we're building group of agents. We call it crew of agents that is focused on attendees, sponsors, and organizers. We love partnering with the organizer to co-design and co-build it. So it's been fun. I spent over 10 years at Informa before this. So we're all well aware of the challenges and opportunities that exist in the space. That's why we're on a mission to make it better with agents. So glad to be here.
And Max, you're underselling yourself because you're a former president, weren't you, of Informa? So you kind of have seen it from the inside as, a big don inside the events industry.
Yeah, yeah.
And now you've taken that insight and you're basically deploying it into agents who are doing similar things for your clients.
It's actually a great point. Now we are out there, similar to Manas, where we're out there as a tech provider. We are an exhibitor and a sponsor. We get to feel and experience firsthand pain points sponsors and exhibitors go through, so we can actually totally relate to it, and so it's actually fun solving them.
And as a marketer, I can tell you that is where the best business ideas come from. It's all about the pain points. Start from there, and everything else is gravy. Right, handing over to our last AI brain, Manas. Tell us a bit about you, and then you've got a bit of a presentation, haven't you, to set the scene when it comes to AI agents in events.
Yeah, and the presentation is all about my learnings on how AI can be tangible for an events business. But just a bit of background about me. I am essentially been in B2B media for more than a decade now, really with the vision of how AI can be an enabler. So we've been working at this for a very long time. But for agents especially, we started about 3 years ago, worked with about 2000 odd different events, really identifying different AI opportunities. So what I'm going to really present is what I've learned over those 3 years, what an agent is, what are the different opportunities out there, and how can you make the most efficient event business in the AI era.
Great. Well, I'll hand it over to you. Feel free to share your screen. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to this chat because we have got lots to discuss. We're going to be talking about inside agents, outside agents, middle agents, agents for prospecting, agents to ensure you don't get disrupted as an event organizer. And that is a big thing. So, Manas, over to you.
Thanks. So I'm going to start off with something very, very rudimentary, really to set context on what agents are. There are different ways and different frameworks that are being used. I like to use what we call as a SPAR framework, which is sense, plan, act, and react. And that is what an agent typically would do. What it achieves is a task, essentially something that can be done autonomously by a workflow where agents can either talk to each other to accomplish something and get the job done till it's completed. But breaking down the SPAR framework, which is sensing, planning, acting, and reacting, an agent is supposed to really sense all the data, whether it's email opens that have happened, CRM records that I need to know, intent signals, what people have done in the past, maybe even data that needs to be reported, that needs to plan based on the goal that is given, really understand what tools it needs to use, what calls it needs to make, which systems it needs to ping, then act, of course, execute, process the information, process data, really understand what are the different inputs and the way it needs to be used and trigger even potential workflows. And as you see, even trigger other agents. Last part, I haven't gone deeper into it because it is a way advanced concept of React where agents can learn from previous actions and become self-learning, or they can even trigger other correction methodologies. Having said that, I want to actually touch on what are the new things that are happening. The four key things that I'm seeing in agentic infrastructure is multi-agent orchestration. There are agents talking to another agent, agents giving feedback to another agent, agents trying to verify whatever is being happening is right or not, auditing agents. We have tool usage where agents are not just creating thesis, they're acting. They can talk to your calendar, they can talk to your email, they can query databases. Persistent memory, this was a big problem in the AI industry for a very long time, but now it is being solved and corrected with different architecture where memory is persistent related to an event. If that is the frame that you build your agents with a person, with a function. And the last but not the least is voice and multimodal, where agents are not just doing text the way, the cliche of a chat GPT interface is, but it can actually talk. It can create videos. This for me is probably the thing that any leader should take away when it comes to thinking about agents, because agents is overwhelming as a concept. It can do a lot. Like, I mean, you just go on LinkedIn and you'll see hundreds of posts creating enough anxiety for you that will make you question what you're doing. But you have to think of it as a way for the individual, which is the goal of creating AI native employees within your event team, where you're using AI to make them closer to the data. They can query data, for example. You're augmenting their capabilities, whether it's processing RFPs, whether it's creating content, but you're really augmenting a person. And then it's also about always on execution. It's being able to carry the relationship, send follow-up messages, not just in working hours, but augmenting that dimension of an individual as well. But again, augmenting. For me, one of the fatal mistakes that people make is thinking of AI as replacing people. But moving to the second part is capabilities and opportunities in the business, where AI can become a system of action. And this evolution cannot be more clear, where businesses were using tools or intelligent tools as system of records, intelligent CRMs, intelligent databases, intelligent platforms, point solutions. But that has moved from a system of record to a system of action, where now technology and tools can engage audiences, understand about them, update records, create a fluid way where your business can have a smarter system of action. And there are many lenses to think about how my agent strategy should be as an event organizer. But the two lenses that I'm going to present will be a good starting point. The first is an event cycle lens, where are agents across my event, my flagship event, my list of events, my portfolio event, regardless of the number of events you're doing. Each event is happening a event cycle where agents can activate the right audiences, they can nurture and convert people by providing personalized experiences and ways or reasons for people to attend. During event, there are agentic opportunities, and of course, post event, there are a lot of reporting and data related agentic opportunities. The other lens is where is your audience interacting? And there are opportunities on the physical layer that you see on the right side and the digital layer that you see on the left side. Again, it's not mutually exclusive, lens one or lens two, but there are two different ways of pushing your AI strategy forward. Physical layer, where agents can do help in check-in processes, they can engage people in a session, they can help in networking. And again, on the digital layer, where people can have a personalized reason for you for someone to attend an event, it can reduce the operational or admin questions. There, again, different opportunities. As I said, there is no event business that I have seen that is, identical to one another. Each of them, I like to call them as unicorns. They have different ways of going to the market, different ways of approaching it as well. But one framework that has worked for us to deliver value for us, and that's why you see the bridge logo here, because this is actually something that we have done with the 1,000+ events that I was mentioning that are using our platform, which is plan, play, prove, and scale. I like to call it the 3P plus framework, where you first plan what are the systems, what are the hypotheses, what is the problem it's solving. Then you play, you deploy agents, you test different things, you really work on finding the right ROI blueprint, and then you prove it by understanding what is the business value, what is the overall adoption, and the competitive advantages can get you. And then scale. Only roll out once you have proven. Talking about KPIs, there are 4 different types that I have seen. Business impact, really, if it is improving cost per acquisition, sponsor renewal rate, really the business outcome. Adoption should also be monitored by a leader of how many times within the business, whether it's being used. If the opportunity is, let's say, 100 events or 10,000 interactions or 10 million as a revenue opportunity, how much of that adoption has had internally. Technical performance, how each agent is doing, whether it is performing in an optimized way, whether it's taking too much of a cost per run, and the number of times it's being run, because that would determine whether your final audience, which is your attendees and sponsors, are making use of those agents. Because at the end of the day, as I said, AI is a means to an end. The agent should create some sort of a value. And this is just us sort of ending with a case study of AI Summit London. They've been using a lot of our agents. We are, just to introduce ourselves, I didn't think I did that. We are an event growth platform where you can build agents that are built only for event organizers from the start of your cycle all the way post event, and then even what we call as a 365 engagement, where agents can really create better engagement, better outcome and revenue per audience, per attendee. So that's it. That's all what I wanted to present you. Back to you. Unless there are questions, happy to take them.
Thank you very much. Yeah, everyone put your questions in as we go and I will bring them up. That was brilliant. Thank you, Maanas. Quick question. AI Summit London, what did you do there? What were some of the results?
So AI Summit London had some very interesting KPIs, which was, for example, when someone was landing on their passes page, which was one of their target landing pages from different campaigns that they were doing, there was a high bounce rate. Similar things they were seeing on the agenda pages. And what they realized, and a lot of event attendees have realized, is the amount of information that you're throwing for a potential attendee or for a potential sponsor to lock in or to commit is a lot. At an average, we are seeing about 200 different pages and up to 20 different PDFs being used to send information at different touch points. In fact, this was a very interesting thing that we did where we measured the number of touch points it takes to convert and get a yes. And the average, believe it or not, is 62. So what we work with them is, or they use our platform to launch different agents that reduce the number of touch points. I can do a bit of a demo if you want, or I can show you what they're doing. Do you want me to do that?
Yeah, maybe we'll come back to it in a bit because I'm quite
Okay,
keen to get our next speaker on.
absolutely.
Asghar, that was brilliant. Thank you, Asghar.
Yeah.
Um, Something that Mana said, which really struck me, was not replacing an employee, but essentially scaling the great employees you've got. And I found that before, where when you're implementing AI systems, you shouldn't just start from scratch and go, "This is our AI employee." You should actually find out what workflows work, and then enable the AI agents to supercharge those workflows. So what have you been doing inside your business at Terrapin? What's been really moving the needle when it comes to agents? What kind of experiments have you deployed that have really worked?
Yeah, sure. So just going back on your employee point, so actually we are treating AI agents as employees. So we actually name them. Like some of our AI agents are called Reggie, Colin, Tom, so on. And like as you onboard a new employee, you take them through onboarding and you train them. So we do the same, we take a similar kind of an approach. So we onboard agents, we uh, we train them, we make sure the data that's needed, it's fed to them and they are trained on it. And most important thing is we work on what the objectives are or what KPI this agent is going to move. Like Manas has mentioned, a 3P plus kind of a framework. So we do actually define in the beginning what they're gonna be working on, and then we walk through like we take them through pilot, we set some hypotheses, and if they deliver those hypotheses, then we scale them out. So I can give you a small example of like over like last 7, 8 months now, we started to leverage from WhatsApp and AI, and we reach out to last year attendees. We thank them for coming around last year, and we encourage them whether they're interested to join this year or not. And if they are, they can click few buttons within WhatsApp, and their registration is done. And here AI is working behind the scenes, not just Gen AI, but also agentic AI as well. Like for example, AI can reply back about sponsors or agenda, or even they can tell, what's the parking, or if somebody is interested how to cook an egg, it can tell you that as well. We have seen examples of that coming through. Uh, but because of we are leveraging on AI, all the registration is booked automatically. No human need to get involved, pick up the list and all that kind of things, and so on. Yeah. And it has become kind of integral part of our like our registration acquisition now. Like on some shows, we have acquired more than 4,000 plus registrations through WhatsApp and AI, or it's coming to like in some cases, like 15% of registration is now coming through that route. And on average, we are seeing about 5 to 6% of registration is coming from this. And this is just from like this year's stats. So what we do is like, yeah, we define the objective, and then we, in order to scale them out, when we go through the pilot, we see whether they have hit their objectives or not. And when they do, then we roll them out across all the 90. We have like 90 plus events going on, and that's how we do it. Yeah. Yeah. And
Nice.
one last thing, which is very important, is like we as we treat them as employees, we do like their performance reviews as well. So every quarter, we look at it and see how they are performing. And there are cases where last year we decided not to proceed with some agents because they are not fulfilling the objectives. Yes, they are doing great things, but if they are not hitting the objective, let's say the objective is acquiring the registrations, they are not hitting that objective, we decided to decommission them, basically. Yeah.
So you show a lot of attitude when you did the review. That's good.
Well, yes, so I did quite a bit of a review in December, and it became quite a big thing within the organization where a lot of people were interested to see the outcome of these agents.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a bit like The Apprentice, isn't it? You're just firing all
Yeah.
these agents. You're fired. Come in.
Yes.
Asghar is basically Alan Sugar.
Yeah.
Max, I'm going to come over to you because a lot of what we've touched on already is agents for acquisition. But you've got an interesting framework, haven't you, about how agents can work throughout a different business organization that's linked to events, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah. No, I really liked Manus's point about system of action. I think that's sort of a profound shift in terms of using system for automation, where you still need a user to operate to now you're building agents that can execute on their own. I think that's a great point. And I love the use case, Ashkar, what you're doing. Audience acquisition is a very important problem for organizer. You're dealing with that. Let me give you an example of what we are solving here, and then I'll just talk about our mental model on how we see the agents. The first one is, are you hearing a fire engine in the background? No?
No,
You good?
not
Okay.
no.
Good. So the one other area we're doing, it's actually a nice segue from what Oscar is doing. Grip was actually one of the pioneers in AI matchmaking here, right? You guys been doing this for the longest time. And, industry pioneer, you set the trend and all that, but I'm sure you'll agree registration data is not as reliable sometimes, right? The input quality hasn't been great. So we really focused on, okay, how do we solve that so that we can improve the effectiveness of matchmaking and the agenda recommendation? So what we are doing is, so Marcus does post-registration after someone has registered, couple of weeks before the event, does a one-on-one interview with every single attendee. And we're able to do it because agents are speaking to someone, say, hey, thanks for registering. Event's coming up in 2 weeks. Tell me, Hugh, what are the top 3 things you want to achieve? And our journey was we did a video-based interview, which was a disaster. We did text because people are still not ready for the video interview and the technology is lagging behind a bit. This back to Manus's point about multimodality in action. We did the text. Chat was okay, but people don't want to sit and fill out more information. So when we did the voice-based conversation, that's where we saw the most engagement and adoption rate. We're seeing close to 60 to 70% of people without any training, they start to do this interview. And when we analyze the insights, can you imagine for the first time organizers actually get to know, you got 4,000 people, you actually get to know why they want to attend the event, what they want to get out of it, and how valuable is that for the sponsors to have that information when they meet. So that's been really, really encouraging going through the journey that it's a very guided interview process. And we've been blown away on how reflective people get during the conversation. They go, actually, I haven't thought about it. Let me think about it. So it's a real conversation, without the pressure of you doing a sales pitch. Go ahead, Hugh.
So hang on a minute. Talk me through the user journey there. So what's the user experience? I'm an attendee and I get a
Yeah.
call from a robot.
So it's not a robot. So so let's say Oscar was successful at registering somebody for a Terrapinn event. We believe we try and work with the organizer to figure out 2 to 3 weeks prior to the event. The attendee would get an email saying, hey, event's coming up in 2 weeks. Could we onboard you to the event just to make sure you get the best experience? They're going to go, yep, start my onboarding. They click on it. And then, the aide Marcus welcomes them and say, hey, thank you for registering. I know you registered for this track. Tell me what are the top 3 things you want to get out. So it actually starts to have a dialogue with the attendee, right? And we're seeing that, it's very, very useful. Attendees are getting a lot of value out of it. Sponsors are getting value out of it. When we sort of analyze all the insights, organizers are getting incredible value, they use that for their future programming. That's how we're thinking.
So it's
Does that
text-based. So
make
they're
sense?
going backwards and forwards with the agent to talk.
Audio,
Oh, audio.
audio.
So they press a button on their laptop and speak into
They
it.
go start my interview on their phone or laptop, and then Marcus starts speaking. That's what I said. We did a video avatar, which wasn't great.
Yeah.
But the conversation style, where actually somebody welcoming you and talking to you, all of that is configurable. I'm sure Asghar and Maanas, you guys are doing something similar, so that you can configure the voice, the brand tone. You want it formal, casual, semi-formal, all that can be configured so that you're still retaining the brand voice to have the conversation. So we're pleasantly surprised on the adoption rate, but it's less about the implementation. What I'm really thrilled about is the insights we didn't have before that you're able to unlock. And then we're sort of integrating with matchmaking tools like Grip and other platforms so that you can use that as an additional augmented data to drive better matchmaking, right? That's the idea.
So I guess though, there's some buckets that are at the other end, and you've got this stream of consciousness coming out of attendees' brains into your systems. So how do you
Yes.
translate what coming out of their brains to actually put it into some sort of structured data?
Yeah. Well, the good news is because of LLMs, now it's easier to interpret the stream of consciousness. And we got a framework on how we, create this goals framework on what is your primary goal? What is your secondary goal? What is your window shopping goal? And then we sort of guide that through and fit into the bucket so that on aggregate level, when you analyze it, they get to see for the first time, they get to see written goals for the event. And that's fascinating for them. And the sponsor get the analysis on that as well. So that part is easy. It's how you use that, tag it, and translate into recommendation is where the value unlock happens for them. And then just to finish that, and then I will go. You want me to pause?
No, keep going, because I'm going
Okay.
to go into our message from our sponsor, but you just
Okay.
finish off.
Okay, so what happens is to top it off, post event, now we actually get to give them a snapshot and say, here, this is what you said before the event. Here are the three things you want to achieve, and let's actually look at what did you do at the event, and give them a snapshot. So it actually the bookends of are we getting the right data, and then how well they did is the two areas we focused on.
Cool. Well,
Max, just to add to that,
sorry,
hi.
Asghar, very, very quickly. I've got a
Yeah.
message from the sponsor. Sponsor is Grip, us, yet again. We've got another webinar coming up about how AI is going to completely transform the business of events. So this is kind of a helicopter view looking at 30,000 feet. What's going to happen in the far future with events? Are we going to see more events? Are we going to see people not go to events as much because they're going to send their agents instead? Are we going to see robots moving around the show floor using AI? A couple of people on this panel have already been interviewed for a report on this topic. We've interviewed about 12 experts, and that is going to be coming out soon. And this webinar is to launch that report. Ben is another one who's interviewed, as well as Tim. Ben is the chairman of Oxford Global, one of the biggest event organizers out there, and he's doing lots of great things with AA agents. He did a great LinkedIn post that blew up with what he's doing for events when it comes to AI agents. So yeah, come along to that one and learn about what the future of events is going to be. So scan the QR code, register. I'll put it in the chat as well. Sorry, Asghar, over to you. What were you going to say?
No, I was just about to add that, like to what Max has mentioned, like we are kind of doing the same thing, and like I believe it's the death of hope-based networking. Like we used to put the people in the room and hope they will network together. That I think is finishing, and the future
Yeah,
looks like, yes, before even the event, we we can leverage on AI, and we can understand the intent of people coming in. So we are doing something similar, Max, what you have done. We
yeah,
also try to understand through conversational AIs uh, why people are interested to come to the show, or what they want to get out of it. And
yeah,
actually we are finding really insightful like content from there. For example, like in our last show of aviation, all the C level like sea level of an airline or of an airport. They were not interested to buy anything. They are only interested to meet their peers,
Yeah.
and they want to understand what their peers are doing to overcome the challenges in the aviation industry. So we started to then leverage that information when it comes to setting the meetings and so on. We put together meetings where peer-to-peer kind of meetings rather than buyer to seller meetings as well. So we enable that kind of aspect as well. So it's quite an interesting thing. Uh, like when you start to ask people why they are here, what they want, a lot of people are just there to meet their friends. So really insightful thing. Yeah.
Well, it's also really
Yeah.
important for organisers, sorry, for sponsoring exhibitors. That is the key, isn't it? Because why they're
Yes.
there. Sometimes it's for leads, sometimes it's for brand awareness,
Yes. Yeah.
sometimes it's thought leadership. You just never really know.
Yeah.
Max, over to you again, because you had an interesting framework, didn't you,
Just
for how you
yeah,
apply.
just 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I'll just share that, and then plug for the event you shared. I'm definitely tuning in. Ben and Tim, that would be a treat to see that webinar. So I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing
it's
that.
just a
Well, it's you guys are involved in the report, so you all gave your input. So hopefully I can draft it in enough time and then launch it for the webinar at the end of next month. So yeah, tune in. Link is in the chat, everyone, to register.
What are you seeing? Are you
Yeah,
seeing
you
my
might just
screen?
swap displays, and then I think you're good to go.
Got it. Okay.
Perfect.
So our mental model around when we're thinking about, there are agents everywhere. I made a prediction end of 2024. There's going to be more agents than people very soon. I think the past 24 months, we're seeing that, right? There's proliferation of agents coming at it. So internally, the way we see it is there are three buckets where agents on the inside, this is what you do inside your company, whether it's you improving your marketing, improving your editorial, or any of the function. There's a lot of sales SDR agents that are coming in. Asghar, like you naming your agents to do acquisition. That's a perfect example of you're trying to improve your value chain. You're trying to improve your internal processes to make things better. And my request to the audience is do this faster, experiment it, even if the experiments fail, and don't deploy too much capital, but continue to go down the path because the value of internal organization learning is hugely strategically important for the organization. So continue to do a lot of bad agents so that you can learn to do better agents out of that. So agents on the inside are important. And then we call it agents in the middle. This is where pay attention to agents that can pop in between you and your customer, right? Are there companies trying to build solution that could potentially disintermediate you? Or you could decide, actually, I'm gonna, for the market I operate in, I'm gonna build that agent in the middle so that I become the discovery layer. And there's a lot of innovation going on in this space. This is where companies reimagining the value chain on how business operates today. Harvey AI is a great example. I'm sure you're familiar with it. What's happening in the legal industry, they're absolutely making great waves, sort of, putting themselves in between the data publishers of legal data and the law firms, and they're really making a huge stride on that. And agents on the edge, it's kind of a lost battle. This is not, there's something to pay attention to. This is where all the hyperscalers are fighting for to see who's going to be the absolute personalized agent for the user on their phone, whatever device it is. Siri hasn't been great, as you know, but Amazon is putting a lot of investment in the space, and Claude and Gemini, they're all fighting for this war. We need to be aware of it. If you're building agents, you need to be aware of it to see how do you make your agents that you're building in the middle visible to the agents at the edge. And it's how we see it. And I think it's quite important. Continue to experiment on the inside, agents on the inside. Be very targeted and strategic about what agents in the middle you need to build yourself or partner together to do it. And just pay attention to what's happening on the edge is the only thing I want to share.
And what examples have you got of, inside agents, outside agents, middle agents? that you're working with customers? You don't have to name names. You can make it, anonymous. But what have some of your customers been seeing? How have you implemented it? What have the results been?
Yeah, the sales agents is a very common thing. You're always reading news about, an organizer closed about $1 million in revenue using SDR agents. I'm sure you're all familiar with that, right? Great case study. And there are more and more people trying to do acquisition. Plenty of tools out there, so they're definitely doing a lot of great work there. Agent in the middle is where I think we are quite excited about working with the clients to see whether it's post-registration discovery, product discovery that we need to do, or lead analysis like what Maanas was showing. Sponsor got all these leads. How can we help them activate those leads and things like that, where people are seeing great value. Agents on the edge is, not really relevant. But what I'm seeing overall is anyone who's saying, I got a Copilot subscription, my AI strategy is done, that's a big risk, right? You really have to take this on as a real agenda at a leadership level, and actually try to facilitate as many experiments as possible.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
a good
experiments
point.
are key. I was just going to bring you in, Manus. Sorry, you beat me to it. But Manus, what experiments have you been doing as well as AI Summit London? What other events have you been deploying agents at, and what results have you seen?
Um, so I'll answer your question, but then I'll add to what you said, Max, because I think that's a very, very important thing, especially for the audience that is looking to explore AI. So we've worked with more than 1,000 events. So big, well-known events like Cannes Lion, to very industry-focused events like Enterprise Connect, to a lot of brands across the globe. And we have this platform where you can build agents based on objectives. I can maybe share it over an email to your audience if they need, but we help event organizers solve three key objectives. Acquisition. How can you have an army of agents that can do acquisition better for you? Then it's sponsor value, where how can you have an army of agents that either augment the data or the value given to the sponsor, or even become agents that the sponsors control. And then the third is really about experiences, where how does agents orchestrate all the data that you have? We talked about data, which was, I think, the one that Max is also working on is declared data. But we work with four different data sets: declared data, inferred data, which is all the information you have on badges that they scan, with pages that they visit. Then it's organization data, because that's also quite relevant to predict what they want. And then it is external data, which is their LinkedIn activity, their company's LinkedIn activity, and so on and so forth, to really create experiences for attendees. Um, and we've seen some fabulous results. We've seen results where those 62 different touch points were reduced to 25. We've seen sponsor renewal rates double. We've also seen the NPS and the relevance, number of meetings created in an event also jump. Just to add a nugget to what Max said, I think one of the things that I get a lot of questions, especially from C-level, is what should be my AI strategy? And I think there is a lot of answers to that, right? But I think the underlying answer, which is true for everyone, is that AI is not going to replace you, but someone who's doing AI better than you might. So it is very, very critical this stage to gain those competitive advantages, because those competitive advantages would be sort of more survival mode in not so long term future.
Yeah, I mean, what do you see for the biggest risk for organizers who wait on this? What does falling behind actually mean in the next 2 years if you've got an organizer who's still just playing around with one shots in Gemini or ChatGPT and they're not fully embracing this AI agentic future?
It's an interesting question, and again, there is not a silver bullet answer, right? But I think there is a framework. For me, my truth is that you should really think about the moat that you have and the moat that you can grab, and use AI to deepen that moat. whether that moat is distribution, that I can reach and create the maximum registrations, whether that moat is to create connections in a niche environment, whether it's to create a recognition setup, which is awards. What is your moat that you can deepen with AI? Because whether you like it or not, AI will help you deepen that moat, but it will also expose your weaknesses. So
Oh,
it's really about deepening your moat and making it more irresistible.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just to add to that, Hugh, just to answer your question, right? So what I'm seeing is this famous William Gibson quote about, future's already there, already here, but it's not evenly distributed. The interesting thing about AI is it is evenly distributed, right? The challenge here is every one of your sponsor and exhibitor has access to the same tool set as you do. So if you're an organizer just waiting to do something, your sponsors are doing this on their own, and they are actually going to implement these solutions, and they're going to find better value and unlock. So that's where you can't afford to sit and wait because your exhibitors and sponsors are not going to sit and wait around. They have these tools, they can build these agents. And that was my point about you have to be proactive here to be in the discovery process. Otherwise, you're going to be left behind.
I
Very
think,
good point. That's probably
yeah.
why, Asghar, you're kind of ahead of the curve with this because you can see this train coming down the train tracks. What as an organizer, what would you say to all the other organizers who are doing nothing right now on Agentic AI? What could they do in the next 90 days to get started? Asghar, what would you recommend?
So I'll say like agentic AI, like what I think Menace has showed in his slides is about taking action, or it's about achieving an outcome. Outcome could be achieving registrations or sponsors or revenue or anything. Yeah. So what I would say is that if you're not leveraging or using agentic AI, start experimenting. You can start small, draw up some hypothesis, maybe a small hypothesis, partner with companies. Like you don't need to reinvent the wheel yourself. There are so many organizations out there you can partner with and work with them in a pilot stage, and maybe work with one of the event, pick one of the event where you can, you want to achieve a specific outcome or specific action, work on it as a pilot and see if the needle moves. And if the needle moves, then you can scale it out. There is nothing wrong in experimenting and piloting. And actually, like with Terrapin, over like last 1 year, we have failed so many times. There are so many examples, that I can talk talk through. Like just a quick one. Like we were thinking to, like, we wanted to launch AI calling agent which will call people and acquire attendees. We made 1,000+ calls, but actually we acquired literally like 12 registrations at the back of it. So it's the experiment didn't work, but we learned a lot from it, and then we optimize and everything. So I would say over like next, you don't need like in the AI world, 90 days is a long time where things will change very rapidly. But I would suggest, like, have a small team, pick an event, run a pilot, and don't try to reinvent the wheel yourself. You can partner with companies out there, and there are no long commitments. It's not like you're signing up on a big SaaS kind of a tool. There are monthly, commitments, and you can walk away very easily tomorrow if that thing doesn't work, or that is not adding value back to your objective or back to your business KPIs and so on. Yeah.
So come on then, you've had a lot of fail. What's worked? Tell our audience what is
So
the
what
what is the one thing they could do? Would it be acquisition through WhatsApp? What's the thing people should give a go that you think, oh, this is really working for
so
Terrapin?
like we are seeing acquisition of registration or audience, working quite well. Traditional email channel to acquire people is kind of slowing down. There are new channels which are coming up like WhatsApp calls, and that's working. Like today, like a couple of years ago, if somebody asked me that they want to make a personalized call to everybody who attended last year, I would say how many people we can acquire. But that's not the question I'm asking now. I'm asking what intelligence we need to put into an AI agent that will have a conversation. Yeah. So definitely attendees acquisition works. Uh, the networking and matchmaking works quite well as well. You can very quickly gather the intent for people coming to your event, and at the back of it, you can actually set up better meetings. You can you can do lead gen at the back of it. There are like so many things that you can do at the back of it. Yeah. uh, you can, in terms of like sponsors or exhibitors rebooking, you can, like that is working as well. We are seeing our rebook rate going up, where we are leveraging on AI to reach out to last year's sponsors and exhibitors and rebook them as well. So they are like, you need to identify like use cases where you want to go in and move the needle, or that helps the business needle to be moved. I think that's also quite important to just focus on the areas where your business wants to move the things, and go after those use cases. Yeah.
Great. Good bit of advice there. And Max, just coming to you about sponsored exhibitors. What happens in the future when they have their own agents and everyone has their own agents, and suddenly you're not going through the event app to see which leads you want to book a meeting with. It's your agent talking to another agent. How does that change the dynamic of events? That just
Yeah,
blows my mind.
it is. It's happening already because very large companies are making big investment in this space here, as you know. So they're not sitting and waiting around. I'll just add one footnote to what Ashka was saying. Just because it worked for Terrapin, it doesn't mean it's going to work for some other company because the process of how you executed the whole agent, Ashka, that was the learning, isn't it? How
Yep.
you get the team bought in, going through the process. So that's my point about experiment more so that your organization's mental model actually evolves. And there's a lot of value in it. I'll just make that point because people are always looking for what's the use case I can borrow if it's working. It's not about deploying a tool that's going to work. It's the actual process of making it work. How do you deal with agents? Like he seemed to have a very good performance review where you end up firing the agent that's not doing the job. So all those are learning every organization need to go through. Sponsors are building agents here. They go to cloud and say, hey, build me an agent. Where this is going to be a big issue is sponsors who are investing in 20, 25 events. They're starting to ask the question about, here's my ROI. Tell me which other events I need to attend. So they're not going to 25 different websites and say, hey, we did this last time, we're going to continue. And some of them are building these agents ROI calculator for themselves and trying to plan which events to target, where should they change the strategy. So they are going to be doing this. So that was my point about if these agents are coming in, make sure the agents you build are visible to these agents because they're the one that's going to be out there searching for which events to use. And I do agree with you. Yes, look, organizer provided app will definitely continue to exist, but sponsors may say, look, here's the experience I want. Make sure you integrate your data into it because I'm going to 30 events. I want all that in one place. That is a very high likelihood that is starting to happen.
I think just to add to that very quickly, in future or even now, we don't, like, the value of face-to-face interaction is irreplaceable. So why people come to event? Because they want to sit down with someone and they want to talk to them. So that's something actually we are seeing more and more people are coming up into these events. Whereas AI, you can leverage on AI to make the pre-event experience better. You can leverage on AI when it comes to doing your marketing, when it comes to doing your sales. So that's where the difference is, or the organization that will be leveraging on AI will operate at a different level. But ultimately, people wants to come, like our sponsors or buyers or sellers, whichever way we call them, they want to come and they want to sit down together and have a face-to-face chat. That thing is not really going away. Yeah.
Yeah, if
Yeah, I think
anything, it's going to increase. Manas, over to you.
no, sorry, I was just complimenting on what Asghar was saying and just maybe contextualizing for the audience in numbers, right? So, in fact, even if you read about investors like Mark Cuban and prominent investors, they are betting on events. AI, in my personal experience as well, is making my inbox unusable. It's also making my LinkedIn sort of unusable to make connections. The only place where I'm making connections is real life events now. So to the concept of Mark Cuban, he calls events as a sunrise industry. So he even predicts that more and more marketing dollars will start slowly flowing into these in-person events. So it's not just, not getting replaced by people who can do AI better. We're also looking at those opportunities because believe it or not, your event industry is going to explode and almost in some estimates going to triple in the next 10 years. And even in the most conservative estimates is going to double. And if there is any event organizer in the world, maybe excluding Asghar, that can say they have a scalable infrastructure and playbooks to deploy events in different geographies and different topics, I would be surprised if they do have that. And if the answer is no, then maybe agentic infrastructure is the way to go because that's the one that's going to give you those capabilities and as I said, moats that are competitive advantages for people who don't know what moat is. Um, yeah, just wanted to add that it's not just sort of the boat on fire, but it's also a huge opportunity to look forward to.
Well, that's a great way to end. And I think, also we're going to see events just explode. I think we're going to see 5x more events because people will trust human in-person connection more than these very lifelike digital connections they're getting because they're like, well, what's human anymore? I can't trust anything unless I see the whites of someone's eyes. And that's probably why a lot of private equity investors are now jumping into investing in events business as a hedge against AI because it will only go up. Let's hope so. Okay, so our next webinar, scan it and register and come along. All that's left for me to say is thank you to my panelists. Maanas, how can people connect with you and find out more about what you're all about?
So I'm going to drop my personal email if anyone wants to connect. I think I'm just going to drop it here. Is that okay, Hugh?
Go for it. Yep, that'd be great. And Asghar, how can people find you and connect with you?
You can connect me via LinkedIn, but I'll drop my email as well.
Oh,
You can like like any questions, any learnings, experience, anything you want to talk about, you can reach out to me on my email. Yeah.
lovely. Thank you. And Max, how do people connect with you?
Same, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'll also drop my email on the chat. Thank you
Great.
for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you, all of you, for coming along. It's been fantastic. I've learned so much about agents. It's going to change the world, but it's certainly going to change the events business in a very short space of time. So, thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you to my panelists, and I will see you on the next webinar, which is the 30th of June. That's everything from me and my panelists, and I will see you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thanks for
Hugh.
joining.
Thank you, guys.
See you
Bye.
soon. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.